Why has this land remained undeveloped? Is it just that there hasn't been enough push in this direction, or the economy of the city hasn't supported it?
Yeah.
This land also earlier, before this highway device that was constructed in the late 1990s for connecting the bridge with the Swedish highway system.
Mm-hmm.
This highway really cut off the cultural landscape that was kind of entering in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, with this cut, with this surgery, it really marked off areas.
Mm-hmm. So the highway, would it be fair to say, once that border was there, it kind of reflected things back and allowed for the sense of greater density there, rather than having it just fade out?
Yeah.
You can envision this as an area now because spatially it has a border.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this, what you see on the screen is pretty much an image of what is there right now. This film was shot only a few days ago.
On Friday.
Here they're building the city tunnel.
Yes, yes. So it's a huge hole here, you can see.
So this is where the railway from
Oh, yeah.
Copenhagen is going to
Mm.
enter down into Earth and then further into the center of Malmö.
That's going to take some time to finish.
Yes, it will be a decade of how loud work.
when is it planned to be ready?
I don't know.
2010, something like that.
Could be.
The water tower I've seen is illuminated at night.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
prominent.
Yeah.
The airspace, like water tower you see at the very left now in the marginal, is the Hyllie Vattentorn, which has been there for quite a lot of, I don't know, some 3 decades or so.
Yeah, it's, yeah. And there they have a little theme park in a way. So you can visit the tower for hours on Sundays, and they guide you to the top, and in the bottom of the tower there is a show
Mm-hmm.
by sound and smoke effects, and a story about the birth of water. And then you go up on an elevator with the sounds of dolphins.
Oh no!
Yes.
Smoke effects and
Yeah,
dolphins.
yeah.
Wow.
And then at the top you can show a educational video about the water supply and the information about the water supply system in Malmö.
So it's a very flat area,
Yes, it's
Yes.
really flat.
Yes.
easy to develop.
Yeah, yeah.
And the city owns most of it.
That also makes it really easy to develop.
Yeah, yeah. And it's former agricultural area.
I was reading about a decision in some city to locate a hospital, and they were planning to put it on a piece of a golf course. And they said it's wonderful because this land is shovel ready.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this is the same. There's no rocks, no hard things for construction. It's only clay. And
It's
fast and
really
easy.
the best earthing.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Best
is.
agricultural land in this part of Sweden.
Yes.
It's always a puzzle to me when they create these kinds of things, and there's many of them in America about history. To what extent, I mean, they clean up the history, obviously, but some of it is a sort of myth of origin. You know, the mythic pattern is put on of either the golden age, which we're mucking up, or you know, a myth of progress that's moving up forward, and or the myth of getting in touch with the ideals in their original uncomplicated form. So Colonial Williamsburg, I have a slide I'll show you, their website. You know, they say, this is how to get in touch with the idea of America. Go back and see here one of the places where it started.
Where was this, in Williamsburg? No?
Williamsburg in Virginia.
Mhm.
It's inland from the first settlements in Virginia, and it was the capital of the colony.
Yeah.
And they reconstructed parts of it.
Okay. Yeah.
But does Williamsburg have any particular historical importance
Yes,
in the creation of the United
Some
States
of
of
the
America?
early laws that set a pattern that were picked up later were created there. And people like Thomas Jefferson and so on come there. But its history goes back earlier than that. They've set it up to look like the 18th century. A very clean 18th century.
Here you can see the buildings in the area. The image is shot between 2003 and 2005. So it's flat and empty, but there is some buildings. Very few.
Mostly temporary.
Yeah, mostly
Shipping
temporary.
containers. Yeah.
But in a place like this, Williamsburg, the establishment of a park like that, and in America in general, is there a collaboration going on between the establishment of the park and, let's say, the real estate business, or is it kind of divided with separate targets on the economy? Or
In many cases, they're together. I think in Williamsburg, they're not. It was done with Rockefeller money in the 1920s and 30s, and was set up. They weren't thinking of it as a theme park. They were thinking of it as an outdoor museum. They were thinking of Skansen. In fact, they knew about that. And the only difference is that this is the actual location and the actual buildings that they've prettied up. And they do research. They do archaeological digs to try and determine what things really looked like and things like that. But the town itself, I think, has not grown particularly as a result, except for motels and restaurants and such. The town also has a college and other things that are not part of the colonial section. But it's, when I was reading about your project, I thought of Williamsburg because it's a very explicitly didactic place that was founded explicitly to put people in touch with the past and with the primitive values of America and things like this. And it seems to me that that kind of didacticism has now been mated with commercial interests in theme parks that will announce that they're doing the same thing. And then, but in fact, they're involved with real estate and with private developers who are making money off of it. And then that reflects back on Williamsburg, which is accused of being a theme park. And they say, oh, no, we are a museum. And yet they use more and more of the techniques of the theme parks. So that the categories are not so easily separated anymore. So you'll have a full-blown version of a mixture of all those things, presumably.
because it's quite interesting in an area like this, because it's quite a big scale, and perhaps it could use separate activities like real estate collaborating with theme parks, collaborating with other injections for really urbanized or suburbanized area.
Yeah, but to give it more structure than just an endless carpet of flats and houses. Yeah, so they're really trying to create some sort of node or center there. But to what extent will it have? It'll have offices, you say?
Yes,
Yeah.
a mix.
Yeah, of a big shopping mall and sport and music arena. And
And
also
football arena as well.
No,
No.
it's music and ice hockey. And also residential area.
Large hotel.
A large hotel, yes.
Because what it sounds like when you describe it that way is in many American cities where the downtown has been hollowed out by suburban retail, the downtowns, if they come back to life, they come back as special event locales for sports arenas and big hotels and convention centers. They don't perhaps have theme parks, but the collection of things you're speaking of there sounds like what some cities would aspire to now in America, to give them something to draw people back into the center, and especially at night.
Okay, especially at night for cinemas or
shopping or concerts.
Yeah, okay.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Does that involve the mixture of housing project as well, or is it still divided functionally?
Functionally, it still tends to be divided, but there are people who are pushing to bring more. You're getting gentrification, so you get people moving back in at a much lower density than were there before. For example, I mean, this is astounding in a way. I have a cousin who lives in New York City, very close to Central Park, in one of the old brownstones, which has been divided up into about 11 apartments. These narrow townhouse, brownstone is what they were made out of, and that's what they're called. And typically, long ago, they were single-family houses with servants, and now they are many, many apartments. But on her block, some of them are returning to be single-family houses. One of them was recently sold for $20 million. So that the density will go down, and very wealthy people, of course it's already a wealthy area, but that's an extreme case. But I mean, even a small city such as the one I live in, which the area is maybe 80,000 people, they're hoping for offices and a big convention center downtown to draw people in from elsewhere. And the mix of functions changes and becomes much more simplified, and the functional divisions become larger. Instead of many, many shops on the street, you have one mall, and instead of, say, 5 movie theaters, you have some big sports arena or something like that. So the blocks the elements become spatially larger, and there are fewer of them, but they're all more prominent psychologically, or at least they're trying to be. And so you go downtown on a special occasion. Maybe you work there if you commute, but you go down for other purposes to the kinds of things that are going to be built there. So you'll have what will be odd about it is that you'll have these kind of 2 centers that are separate, the old center and this new event center. How easy will it be to get back and forth? You use the train, I suppose, as a kind of metro.
Yeah, there will be this metro connection here.